Showtime.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live Q&A with Ashala and Crystal Yardley, coming to you on Ashala Yardley's YouTube channel. Welcome to some of our favorite people, familiar faces.
Joe by Lupo. Hello, Ricky, Lisa, and Leo.
Yeah.
And Leo starting us off with a question too. How is everyone doing today?
How are you doing, Crystal?
I'm good. Ooh, it's a good Tuesday.
Good Tuesday.
It's been kind of a bit of, hey, it's us. It's been kind of a bit of an intense few days for us here on the home front, but today's a good day. And do you all find that with some of the most sort of compressed feeling moments in your life that there's some really good ones that follow? I often find that, and I often say that to you too. Hey, just wait, there's good days coming. And there's a lot out there.
So Leo's starting us off talking about or asking a question about light language. And Crystal and I are both like, I'm slightly familiar with light language.
The question? Are you waiting for?
I'm putting it up right there. But we want to just check in with the cards and see what they say about how our light languages important. What is a gift that comes from them? Language is an interesting concept, whether it be symbols, frequency. All of language originates with those two things, symbols and frequency, and light language is no Crystal. Sorry, I got going.
Right.
I got going.
I was just watching, waiting to see what would happen. That's all right. I'm going to go with this one today.
Great.
Yes.
Light language. Here's us. We've got a lot of tools, right? He's working. You see he's working at the workbench. I'm going to make the cards bigger. There we go. So there he is working away. So we have tools of various descriptions. And it seems as though there's a lot of work to be done on the planet right now. And we need a variety of tools. Do you kind of see that with this card? So, and I feel like there's a different tool for every job, for every part of the job. So,
and I feel like coming at it from also angles, I see a lot of the points and the angles on the stars. So it's kind of like one thing that's so beautiful I find about light language is that it's so unique to the speaker. And although it may be all along the same lines of light language, but I know when I've channeled it myself that I don't know that it sounds like anyone else's, but it definitely has that same sort of feel and frequency to it. So it's coming in from a lot of these different angles and I think dimensions, timelines.
And we are, there's something very powerful in like if you learn about linguistics and the way our mouths move and how we form sounds, syllables, vowels, and consonant sounds, in ancient times, language was considered like we manifested. This is a manifestation card. We created reality through sound and frequency, through the way we spoke, the types of words we used, how we put the words together. So I think we're maybe tuning in to perhaps ancient, past, or future versions of how we co-create reality with sound and frequency. So that's what, and the gift is to kind of break out. This is a breakout card. Like he's a catalyst. He kind of is a disturber. He gets in there and it's like, yeah, let's bust out of the old tried and true systems that,
Mhm.
we know that there's problems with languages like English, for example, and most of the Indo-European language family groupings, which is a lot of the Western civilization. Those languages have the idea of, they've got the verb to be, they've got this idea of separation, a separate self concept, which is necessary. We had to go through that for our evolution, but it's now, we've got to remember or go forward and activate different languages that are about connection, about unity, about connecting
Mhm.
through the dimensions. Let's put a past, present, future here, and then we'll talk a bit more about that. Oh, yeah, right? Oh, huh. So in the past, we've been losing our diversity of language.
Language. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it has definitely um led to I feel like it's led to encapsulating our grief a lot more, where
Mhm.
we're not able to feel empowered to express and speak that which challenges us, that which and not even just being able, just losing our language in general creates that grief that gets stuck in our beings, because language is channeling, right? It is expressing frequency. Each word holds a different frequency and
Mhm.
channels something else out of us. So
Yeah, I can't remember the statistics, but it's horrifying how many words were in common
mhm,
usage in the English language, like say in the 1500s and 1600s, and how, like, even since the last century, that has dramatically gone down, and in this modern generation it's gone down to such a small amount, like, where we're just not, people just don't have a vocabulary. They're using abbreviations for everything, the whole texting language.
mhm,
And language is like song, it's like poetry. And I think about, even for example, in the indigenous cultures, in the Aboriginal Australians, for example, they have the song lines. It's literally creating a different frequency or consciousness based on how they used sound. And it wasn't just tones, it was like harmonic, soundscapes. So this is powerful. We're coming out of being locked into less and less option. And I also heard once that English is one of the lowest frequency languages, and
truth.
it's across the world right now,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
whew, yeah.
Beautiful. Leo is saying that they spoke the light language for over 30 years, to me, soul speaking for you to God.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that is kind of the way that it feels. And I feel like with this, what I was seeing with this Knight of Pentacles coming in, that we are if we can open ourselves up and tune ourselves into that frequency where we have the space, time, and the right alignment, like say someone like you, Ricky, when you're out and you're on the earth and you're tuning in and you're channeling that energy of the earth, for us to just start speaking it without having any attachment to what it's supposed to sound like, and just start integrating it slowly into these different times, um, so that it becomes more a part of our norm to be able to step into that frequency with ourselves and that channel, as you say, Leo, through to God, to source, and to all that's out there.
I feel like, interestingly, we've got this going, this is a window to reclaim some things that were taken from us in terms of language and frequency. And even learning about like the alphabet. I read a really amazing book. It's over there somewhere, I think, maybe on my bookshelf. It's called The Alphabet and the Goddess. I might have it on a different bookshelf. No.
Nope, that's Language of the Goddess.
Oh yeah, it is. It's right there, right by Spiral Dance. It's in the brown one. Yeah, that's it. I love having my bookshelf right here.
She sure does. Oh, Spiral Dance went flying.
This is the book. I'll just show you the.
She's got the old school version there.
Yeah, this is Leonard Shalin, The Alphabet versus the Goddess. Now it sounds just kind of witchy and new agey, but as you can see, I've really.
It's a hefty book.
It's a hefty book. I've gone through it many times, made lots of notes, and it's all about how we lost so much of our spiritual frequency diversity as languages were like basically crystallized into these alphabet forms and then into written language, and just basically I'm even being shown here with the Pope in this position of like, negotiation, being the intermediaries. There were languages that were forbidden, right? Like when in the church, it was forbidden. Only the priests, they were the only ones allowed to speak these ancient languages. They were the only ones. And then the common language was dumbed down, down. So I feel like we're going to even see possibly through records that will be unearthed at the Vatican, we're going to learn a lot more about how much has been kind of taken from us or hidden away from us, or we were literally not allowed to speak certain languages. I mean, look what happened to the indigenous people in North America when European settlers came. They basically beat the natural language right out of them. You were forbidden to speak same in Ireland with Gaelic. This is classic across the board. And when we lose our indigenous tongue, which is not just the language, but it's the ability to create that frequency, the way you move your mouth and the sounds that come out. We're literally being changed cellularly by not having access to those sounds anymore. So this is a great jumping off point, Leo.
We've got some beautiful questions coming up here. All in all, what is the gift of light language?
It's stirring the memory of older sound frequencies and ancient languages and possibly even future languages that are change our ability to experience reality, because when we can move our mouths in different ways and have different frequency qualities coming through, it changes our whole DNA. It changes us.
Yeah, it definitely brings us also, I think, out of so much of the thinking technological realm and into the root of who we are here and where we've come from. So it's spell casting always.
Yeah, definitely.
And that always depends on how you use it. So I'm just going to speak to Lisa. We see your question, love. There's a lot of other questions that have come up, and we usually don't answer personal ones on this channel or on this show particularly. So you're welcome to book a reading if you would like to look at that further, or check out, I do a solo monthly live that answers personal questions. Okay.
Maybe you'll post that up pretty soon.
I'll be posting that up pretty soon. I got some announcements that are going out tonight. So, stay tuned for some big news next week and some announcements coming out. If you are not subscribed to our email list, please do so that you can keep up on all the exciting shifts that are coming up. Okay? Yeah. All right, Suzanne. Since history is distorted with wrong calendar, can we trust the astrology charts of today? Wonderful question.
Excellent question.
Yes. Oh my gosh, don't we all want to know? Ricky had a follow-up to that, so I'm going to shuffle this, and they've been having a chat. I've been watching. I was like, get me in there. I want to get in there. Okay, take it. So, well, she's shuffling. Ricky also says that it's been reported that our calendars were changed, so I imagine everything that is date related is off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Am
I okay to pull this?
Do it, Mama. I love it.
Okay.
The good news: time doesn't exist. It's a construct we humans created. So let's have a look-see at it.
So what do we need to know? I'm just going to put us here. What do we need to know about our current Western astrology and how relevant it is based on this time-oriented, current calendar-oriented? Now, it's interesting because calendars relate to how we divide the year up. However, astrology relates not necessarily to days and times. It relates to the way the planets move in the sky. We just associate it with days and time because that's where they're showing up. So I'm feeling into, when we talk about transits and signs moving into houses and so on, it's really about saying this is the relationship between the different planetary systems at this moment. So I'm wondering if that's different than our calendar time. Let's just see what the cards have to say about it.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So there wasn't two piles?
What do we need to know about what it's done? So this is us and what we need to know about what it's done.
Gotcha.
A lot of emotion around this.
So much.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, a lot of emotion. Okay. So I want to say that in a way, you're right, because this is like, again, we somehow know that it's been twisted, right? Mm-hmm. When we add the calendar and these timestamps on with the way that we organize time through the different calendar systems, it does shape our experience of the astrology. We still do talk about days on the Julian calendar, for example, that we use here in the West, or the Gregorian calendar. So, and it's interesting, I get looking at this and this and this. They've got 8 of Cups, the King of Cups, and the 5 of Cups. It's sad calendar. The Gregorian calendar it's based on disappointment. It's all about setting us up to be held in this frequency of sadness. I don't know why they're like, look at that. It's this. So astrology doesn't have to get pulled into, like, you could use a different calendar to demark the planetary movements. So it's not the actual astrology tracking where things are. It's the way it's formatted into these dates and times. That's where it gets like sucked into this portal.
Yeah, interesting. The 8 and the 5 is 13, and we definitely, 13 months is what has been spoken about is more in alignment with our natural rhythms and systems. So it's really interesting. Though, look at this. We've got 3 cups here, 3 cups here, and 3 cups here. So
yeah, it's how we spin it.
Yeah,
is what I'm hearing. Because look at this. This is like we just know that it's not about the date and the time. It's about what's happening in the sky, the movement of the planets. So if we can sort of separate away from date and time, which is even interestingly about our birthdays, for example, because, we think, oh, well, my birthday's on this day, and, it's in the month of this, and it's in the whatever. And it's like, meanwhile, where your birthday falls every year is in a different place in terms of, like, it was interesting. Meg did an awesome thing for me as a gift this year. She gave me a solar return chart, which basically charts my upcoming year based on, okay, it's my birthday, which is my solar return. But it really, every birthday, you have a different chart. You don't have the same chart. You're like, as you return to that part of the giant wheel of the year, you're in a different sort of frequency than you were when you were born. So I think, yeah, we may give too much energy to that first date and the dating of things, and that is actually pulling us into some sort of grief frequency and away from joy, right?
Yeah.
Because this is the joy card. This is our advice, is to really go almost into more ancient, like, types like Vedic astrology, or what is that other one? There's one where the date of the chart is done on the date that you come to the astrologer and ask for the chart. I've had one of those readings before, and it's phenomenally accurate. So we're not just held into the calendar with astrology. We can cast a chart outside of the calendar, if that does that make any sense? And what are you seeing here, Crystal?
I mean, interesting. Valerie here says that we used to live without clocks and calendar scheduling and the like, and before never slept 8 hours a night just when we were tired. I think that would be incredible. Honestly, I think that we miss so much of our own spiritual path being regulated to have to be awake and productive during these hours and then sleep so that you can get up again and be the machine. Like, it's just like something about that
hurtful
is distorting us, is
really
saddening us, is causing all of this disappointment, dis-ease in our systems, and it's bringing us out of us being in our natural rhythm, which is where we find our joy. So I love this question and this direction, because I've been taking naps almost every day and finding them absolutely so helpful, kind of like siesta time, which when I was in Europe found, when I was in Italy, I found it so supportive to my system to have that time. And I feel like, and then sometimes I get tired at night, and then I'll get a second wind if I have a little nap, or if I fall asleep in front of a show or something, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm all awake. So I think that could be interesting when you get the opportunities to just like fall into your own natural rhythms and see when sleeping makes the most sense.
It's interesting too to imagine, like, we know that so many of the ancient monuments on the planet were set up to mark not time, not date and time, but events in the calendar, or not in the calendar, but in the sky. So what if, here's just a thought. What if what we call our solstice sunrise is different every year? What if it's not 365 days apart, or 364 point whatever, right? It's like, what if it's different depending on where we are going through what cycle in the cosmos or whatever? Like, they didn't worry about, oh, it's been exactly 364.5 days and it's going to rise right there. It's like they just watched, knowing that that was the highest point, and they waited for it to come through that opening, and then they knew where they were in the cycle. And they also used all kinds of other markers to determine that. And it wasn't always, I personally feel here, it wasn't always the same day. There's something about this sameness. We've got this idea that it always has to be exactly the same.
Well, creates a certain reality of attachment.
Yeah, right? Like we're attached to structure and predictability, and like, where's the wild nature of it all? right?
Amen to wild nature.
This
hey?
guy is like the spiritual warrior, the wilder. He brings the wildness in, the unpredictability, but he does it through integrity. He's like, he has an integral alignment. So just some thoughts.
Great thoughts. I love it. Okay, let's on to the next question here. Oh, lots of good questions today. We better. Okay, this and this. Janice, hi, love. Thank you all for joining us today.
Oh, yeah.
Can you look into LA rioting? What is the purpose behind it? I'm in Santa Monica, California, so it would be interesting to see what's behind it. Whoa!
That's what I had my hands open to as I was shuffling and just went like this, and that's what we have. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. It's very, very challenging to answer these questions because I really am not comfortable with taking a casual seat on people, innocent people suffering as a result of these massive blowouts, So it's hard not to polarize and just go to one extreme or another with all of this stuff. We know that innocent people are getting caught in the crossfire. Yeah, I'm feeling it's this first one.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we need to know? Here's us. What do we need to know? Past, present, future. Some advice. Us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, no matter which way you slice this, it's a loss. It's devastating. It's, this is poverty, it's abandonment, it's banishment. Things are falling through the cracks and we feel the hardship. It's hardship, this card.
Yeah.
Temporary. Fives are temporary.
Yeah.
What is it for? It's to open a channel of change. Like this guy, he goes slow and steady.
Long game, yeah.
He's the long game.
Yeah.
Past. Okay, so, it's almost like I get this has something to do with like waves of people readjusting how they live based on what's coming down right now. Like people making new choices, and there are openings. Like what I want to see is openings for people to pivot and make alternative choices where they're not just sort of limited down a funnel into nothing. Like, okay, now you're going to end up in some kind of like encampment or some kind of like, what
15-minute city, cubicle.
Yeah. So like, I just want to see there being channels for people to move through. And it feels like this has happened. There's been an opening for people to pivot around this. And it has to bring all the narratives out in the open, right? 7 of Cups. It's like the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
That's what.
And all of the disillusionment, all of the, the promises that have actually caused more pain.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
But the purpose is to slowly start building a new direction, a new path. Yeah. Wow. Whew. It is the end of an era, a way of doing things, but there is light on the horizon when the dust settles here.
It's kind of, I get that people need to be leveled out. I get that there needs to be like,
well, need to be leveled out, but I don't agree with there just being so few options for people.
No, it's like, I feel like it's almost like, what happens when people hit rock bottom, and then there's like this rebirth that comes from that place, And so often, you hear like, oh, they just need to hit rock bottom. And it's almost like when so many are pushed into that place, there's the opportunity for real change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Right?
it's like, almost like I just feel there's something to do with a certain type of dream, the American dream, a certain type of certain version of that needs to be laid low. It's not about
The just enough, like keeping up with the Joneses and having just enough to do what you need.
well, it's not also about, these great promises, these great everyone can come here and become a millionaire. Like maybe that's not the goal anymore. And so, but we need to decide what are really the not only basic rights, but what constitutes like a fulfilling, natural, healthy life for people. Like I think we are all being forced to re-examine what kind of stability we want. We went on quite a heyday there post-war baby boom, like American dream. We've gone on quite a few heydays. And this is a new up level possibility, but it seems like we're going to be challenged to get down to the basics of what it is that we really want to build. And that, everything in the old system was built on a funky foundation. So eventually that all just falls.
Yeah, like we had that devil in the tower in there, right? That old foundation, the old cabal programming, it's all.
So there, when the dust settles, we've got 2 7s here. It's for each person. There's no easy answer to this.
No.
It's for each person to determine how they recreate themselves, because the old system, the old version of this is how we're going to survive, or maybe we'll have a chance at the American dream, or, it's like this is all going to be brought to, I want to say, into reality more. And we're all going to need, all of us, right? Because we're facing some version of this, way less extreme. And knock on wood, less and less people will have to go to this extreme of suffering and contrast. So,
Yeah.
Moving in a new direction with new systems and kind of a little bit of a reset in terms of starting from scratch in some areas.
It is a long game though, and there's going to be, I think, a lot of twists and turns along the way. And for us to keep this, like he's kind of carrying this pentacle as he goes on, the Knight of Pentacles as he goes on this journey. And for us to really keep the value of who we are and what we carry through all of these ups and downs and all of these big shifts that are coming from way bigger than what's happening in these cities, than each eruption that occurs. It's a full picture.
Yeah, and I really you notice like this 4 is a kind of stability. We like the 3s because they're flexible, but there does need to be some parts where we have to design like at least even temporary systems. But when I look at this, I see the 4 pentacles there, and I see the 4 directions around the Wheel of Fortune, drawing on all this different type of wisdom, all this different type of new systems building. There's going to be a lot of designing of new systems with cities, with rural lifestyles, with like options for people. Everything is going through a transformation. Education, science and technology, like it's all, when they say, when you throw the house of cards up in the air, it's like, what do we want the ground floor of the next thing that we build? What do we want that foundation to look like? And Yeah, it's hard to know exactly how that's going to play
I
out,
mean, Suzanne
honestly.
here is saying that they've been creating conflict, starvation, and other forms of ways to make people leave their country and homes, all to create instability and split between people forever, divide and conquer. Yeah, and it's so interesting though, like the divide and conquer, I feel like also is seeking to unify people. Like it forces us into unity. They want to divide and conquer us, and I feel like we come back feeling the value of
The simple
unity
things.
and connection to ourselves, nature, source, each other. Like we start when they divide and conquer, a lot of stuff gets like dissipated out and sloughed off, and then we come back into like what really matters here, what is the true basis of the foundation that we are living by and that we're creating. So
Cool, Crystal. I just noticed
I know I
waiting,
see
electrical girl.
her.
Yeah.
That was the next one, electrical girl. Thank you for the reminder, my dear. We are going to go back up to that one. And Mom, you talk, I'll find it.
Well, yes. So, yeah, really, as I was saying, not easy to look in on these things that I'm so conflicted inside of myself, and I just can't take it lightly. It just weighs heavily on my heart to see how many people are feeling displaced and suffering and struggling, and yeah. So I don't have any light, easy answers to these really big, heavy questions. Um, and yet, like Crystal said, there is something going on here that's much bigger than these individual upheavals. And I do feel deep in my bones that we are moving through shedding, like in the year of the snake, the wood snake, we are shedding that old system, and it is painful. It is painful. So I really pray for everyone that is going through all these different versions of suffering on the planet right now, be it wildfires, wars in the Middle East and Europe, and, riots in LA. Like, my heart goes out to each and every one of the individuals that are struggling. And I don't have a light feeling about this, and yet I have a sense, as Crystal said, that there is a purposefulness in it all. And I guess that gives me not a hope, but it lights me. It keeps my pilot light of my heart lit, like we're in this together. Yeah.
Okay, electrical girl, here we are. My apologies for missing that one. I knew it was there. I just didn't realize it was before the one we just answered. Okay, so could you look at Reiki? Are the origins of the Japanese monk's vision and messages given to him all true? It seems that this healing practice is changing from its origins. Many things are, aren't they? Yeah.
Reiki. I have never looked into this topic before, and I feel like it's so fascinating to me. Reiki is an interesting thing. I've actually never personally studied it, and I haven't been hugely drawn to it, funny enough. And yet it feels like it is one of the ones that is so commonly taught and practiced. And I feel grateful that it's been such a gateway system for a lot of people that I've worked with over the years. Like, I don't know, what has your experience been, Crystal, when you've had Reiki done?
I feel like it is a really nice one as a gateway into deeper healing modalities spiritually, because it is hands off, because it's not that like for many people, because it's not like crazy big impact or a heavy hitter kind of thing, because it is so gentle. It sort of wakes people up to the magic of how subtle energy can be worked with and how subtle healing can be, but impactful at the same time. So I feel like it is a really nice one, because I know a lot of people that are like, where I'm like, try out Reiki for that. And it's just like, it's one of those ones that is, I think, more digestible than some other more shamanic forms of healing, and something that I think we all have a lot more of our like accessibility to channel through us.
Yeah, I remember just like back in the day before Reiki caught on, there was something called healing touch.
Healing touch.
Do you remember that, folks? It was way back in the late 70s, early 80s. And it didn't go really big. It was so subtle. Because you didn't actually touch the person's body, you just did this energy work over their body. And I remember it was kind of like, oh, what's that? Like, people were just kind of like, that just seems like a bunch of nonsense, right? Because you're not actually, there's no contact. And it was like a phenomena that people couldn't grok. So this energy of the question being the origins, are they, well, true? Is it like kind of pure source frequency? And has it been changed in some way, is what I'm hearing you say. So here we have us like, utilizing, a lot of people have heard it, used it. It's probably one of the most common used techniques. Holy, I wasn't expecting that.
No.
Interesting.
Why don't we keep going?
Okay. I'm stumped. I'm like,
let's,
whoa.
Yeah, let's keep going on that, because we've got still some good questions coming up. And let's see.
Okay. So I feel, check in with me, Crystal, and see if you get this too. I feel like it got split. So like, oh, I'm getting chills. So we got part of it. Yeah, we got part of the teaching, but we didn't get the whole teaching. It got split. And so we've been using half of the teaching.
Yeah, because it was a 10, and now we've been split down into the 2-5. So I definitely concur.
But funny enough, we've actually used it up to about a 7. So we've actually just people's own intuition and the way a majority of practitioners have woven something of their own into it. And that's one of the things I think maybe it was about helping us like blend that teaching with some of our own instinctual healing capacity. Maybe that's why we only got half of it originally, but it feels like it's going to be united with an earlier or more complete version in the next couple of years, perhaps. And it does actually feel like there's a feminine half and a masculine half, that it got like, we only got one half. So I don't know what that means, but
okay. I'm just having a look at what everyone else is saying here. Appears to have changed. The symbols changed about 2 years ago. Light codes and special symbols. Yeah, so Laura's saying that she gets light codes and special symbols for each individual now. So just like Mom was saying, like we are channeling our own higher ancient wisdom through these symbols. And
it's interesting. It's almost like here was the 5 in his hand that we were given half of it, 5 of the 10. And then like we've actually, people have designed or learned their own version of 2 of the remaining 5. So, but we are going to be given more.
The last 2?
Well, there's 3. There's 3 others. So it's interesting because I think it's going to evolve and we're going to have a reuniting of an earlier version of it, but it doesn't mean that it's been bad. I think what it gave us was a format, even though it was only half of a format, it gave us something that we could use and get good at just practicing
Yeah.
as a tool where we learn to listen to our own instincts over that. I have to say, I have a really quick, funny story about Reiki, which is because it also feels as though it has to do with the applications of it, and they're so far and wide. And I had years ago, you don't know if you remember this, Crystal, but we had an old car. We had a lot of old cars, but we had an old car, and I was going on a long trip, and I was worried it wasn't going to make it. And I had this wild hippie mechanic, and I was down at our local coffee shop where all the wild, colorful people hung out. Yeah. And I told my mechanic was there, and I said, "Oh, I'm really worried about going on this trip." And so he went over and he started doing Reiki over the hood of my car. And it was just so like, oh yeah, that's what we do here in this town. Like, our mechanic uses Reiki as well. And the car made it there and back, no problem. He didn't even look under the hood, folks. He did Reiki on my car, and I will never forget that. It's such a funny story, but also like I feel like it has served a great purpose.
Yeah. And that's why it needed to be that accessible,
Mm-hmm.
that digestible to the capacity of our consciousness where we were. And then we have up leveled it in our own way. And now we are bringing it around, I think, full circle as we come into this higher level of accessibility to it. So timely question. Timely question. All right, let's see here. Oh my goodness. I know there's more. You guys, I love all of you in the chat. It is so awesome to see. And yeah, and so interesting to look back on. Okay. Am I missing any questions? I know there was more. Okay, so I know that Suzanne had a follow-up on the LA part as well. Oh no! Made a boo-boo, you guys.
Okay, how about this? If you've got a question, where's that? Laura's?
I wonder if the emission of focus affects our astrology.
Oh, you'll have to tell us more about that, Laura. I don't know what that is.
Laura, we don't know. This is the question. I'm not sure what. Could you say that, Mom? No R. Focus.
Don't know.
Let's sound real clever right now. Okay. I thought that there was.
If you have more questions, we're getting on. We have about 10 minutes left. So if you have more questions,
or if we've missed
something, put it in caps at the bottom for us. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
It looks like it was designed intentionally in melancholia. Sorry. I'm gonna throw some of these.
We'll just wait. I'm wondering if I have any more funny Reiki stories, but no, that was a good one.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of Reiki in my life, and it's all been quite gentle, beautiful.
Oh, Angela's saying Reiki at a distance works well on the birds that hit our windows. Oh, thanks, Angela. Oh. That is really cool. Yeah, and like I said, Reiki came in and did a number on people's awareness because it somehow had the right frequency for people to feel safe to explore with it, and it became just like a household word over the course of less than a decade. And now it's so common. Like you go to any community and wherever it is, some little redneck community in the middle of nowhere, and half the women are trained in Reiki. It's just so caught on. And it's extraordinary to me how the phenomena has helped people expand their perspective of what healing can be done without touching, without giving any, substances. Yeah.
Valerie's done Reiki on her car, computer, and other appliances in the past. Every time I get in the car, I clear it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Great story, Ishella. I love it. Okay, Ophiuchus is the snake master in the stars, a fire sign.
Oh, so what was the original question?
Okay, hold on.
Oh, when they took him out. The question was something about when he was taken out.
Okay, and then there was a final question here. Thanks, y'all.
13th sign of the zodiac is that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
you.
Okay. And then there is one more question there from Sarah about the finances. Okay.
I just shuffled. Are you okay with this one?
Do it. I'm okay. I'm great. Okay. What?
I like to have your consent about this, though. Okay.
I love it. Thanks, Mama. I'm going back up to find the question.
What do we need to know about
I found
the
it.
effect? The emission.
Applause for me. Question. I wonder if the emission of Ophiuchus affects our astrology. Thank you.
We're probably saying it so poorly, so
yeah.
apologies for the mispronunciation.
It is the 13th.
Isn't this interesting? It's another emotional like disappointment or sorrow or neglecting the divine feminine with this Queen of Cups. Like it polarizes, it leaves out that energy of like, you know, the feminine cycles, for example, you know, the 13 cycles following the moon, not the solar cycles. Yeah, it's all about dividing masculine and feminine and like abolishing or downplaying or separating out the female calendar systems. And it's interesting because the guides are saying in ancient times, it's not like we need to replace the solar calendar with the lunar calendar. They used both. We had two. Why wouldn't we have two?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't we? Like what's you know, okay, it's not efficient because you use one for one thing and one for the other. Oh, some part of me's like, poor baby, we have to have two calendars.
It's interesting to me too, like if we think of this symbol here and the Ouroboros symbol, say, right, and this unity point in the middle here, to me, it's like the evenness of the you know, the 12 months, right? But that 13th month is that unity point. It's the it's that the 13th symbol is important. 13th sign of the zodiac.
Okay, so it is the, you know, if you go to like the tarot, the number 13 is the death card. So it's the actual part of the cycle where everything decomposes, goes back to source, and then the new cycle begins. Now it's interesting that what I'm getting with this, because again, there's a feeling of, are we victims of having something stolen from us, or was this way that this was removed for a period of time for a reason? And what I'm being shown is a buildup. It's about 9,000 years building up the energy of that mystery, right? The divine feminine, that missing part of the calendar system has gained potency all this time that it's been excluded from the system. So when it comes back in, it's literally just going to be all that transmutation of 9,000 years just going to whoosh, like, yeah. So there we go, the 12, right? But I don't think this 12 system is going to go away easily. So again, we're not looking at, look at this. It's not replacing, it's not an either or like the scales. It's a both.
And I feel like that also has to do with how we use it and how we bring it into our knowledge and our practices in our own ways. And like start integrating these things, start sleeping when we feel tired, and even if we don't do it for a long time, could we do periods of it, like try 3 months during the summer and 3 months during, like, in different times of the year, when you follow your own cycles and integrate getting to know what the 13th sign is all about.
I was called to put down 3 more cards. Look at that. It's like the patriarchal dominant version of solar cycles for the last 9,000 years. And now the lunar is going to come back, but it's not going to like totally cancel out the solar. Ideally they're going to learn to work together. Yeah. So, but it's going to be a long path of like, we have to get beyond this victim thing. Like, this was done to me and now I'm mad and now I'm just going to go with the lunar. Like, can we move beyond either or right now and into both and more is what I always like to say, not either or, both and more. So, there will be. It's interesting. I'm really looking at that. Emperor's looking over at the moon like, uh-oh, it's coming. We're going to lose. Now we're going to have to go. Solar is going to go down. It's not going to go down. It feels like we need to not swing this pendulum so extremely here at this point. I'm just going to put
pivot point. We're learning so much about pivoting.
2 more and a third. And so it's, it feels like it could be about over the next 8 or 9 years, we're learning to blend them and learning when we use the solar, when we use the lunar, how we work with the 12, with the 13. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice to have it?
The 13 is also the number of Jesus, and they removed him to and completely changed the true meaning of Christ content. Yeah. Big stuff, darlings. Yeah.
Wow. As always, what an incredible.
All for your knowledge. Now, okay. We had one more question.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we did.
I saw
when we were asking for people to send us questions. Do you see financial relief coming to the American people soon?
Ooh, that's a good thing to end off on
a
that.
little question. I'm not laughing about it, but holding it.
Here, you shuffle.
Okay. We put Mama in the hot spot over there, and she just gets to be a shuffling machine. She's like, right, I'm sharing the shuffling. Doing great, Mama. Doing great.
American people and the Canadian people.
Yeah, people. But, okay.
And how about all the people?
Financial relief. Well,
all our people.
Let's look at the American people. And then we could look at, because I think we'll pull 3 cards on the American people.
Okay.
3 cards on the Canadian people.
So
3
American,
cards on the UK.
Canadian, and European. And then
the rest of you guys. And then the rest of you guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I should stop giggling about it. You know what? Humor is key. Yeah. And it's kind of something that is just so disgustingly laughable.
What, the financial system?
Financial. Yeah. The whole system. It's just.
Okay, so American. American. Canadian. European. And others. Okay, interesting. Others is the only place we have pentacles. I think to keep our eye on countries that aren't part of the big, the big five, right?
Yeah.
I kind of was getting Europe in the big 5 here. Is where, it's like some of these smaller former third world countries, they're going to be really rocking it in terms of sovereignty and independence financially over this next decade or so, because they've had to just kind of get over it. Oh, look at this. At the bottom of all of this is the 10 of Pentacles. That's great. So, a decade. Now, please, I'm not saying things aren't going to get better for a decade, but I'm saying we're moving out of the the worst of it. You know, is there a little bit of a worst of it here for the American people? Maybe a little bit more lingering in the American situation. And it does feel like it's especially depressing when we've had so much promise to us. We go through this. I mean, we've had the experience where I tend to be really big on making big dreams and visions and promises. And my kids are like, okay, I wish you hadn't built that up so big because the disappointment is hard on us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but then again, without having big vision and dreams, we don't have anything to strive for. So I think there's a natural kind of feeling of being disappointed in the US because the dreams were so high. And it's not that on some level those aren't being actualized and haven't been, but it's just this idea that you can just press the automatic button and it will continue to give you that dream on demand. Like we're going through some growing pains. It's going to evolve into a more mature version of that dream. And so for Americans, I think this is going to be a more of a emotionally, you know, I want to say tricky kind of transition point, because it's hard not to feel disappointed when you have these great, hopeful dreams, right? Now, what did I say? This was Canada. And Canada looks like, we've been an underdog, even though we're technically, according to the maps, we're above the US, but on some level, we've been sort of like, the poor relative. And so I think Canada is getting this stimulus of feeling just, whether it's separation or reevaluation, seeing ourselves as a different, like, are we part of, are we still connected to the UK? Are we part of this North American model that's emerging? I think Canada is going through a lot of redefinition, and it's maybe a bit of an exciting up-leveling time for Canada, but still not really financially very grounded.
Yeah.
And then Europe is also, to me, there's a lot of like coming back to like earlier values, simplifying, focusing more on like the relationships between countries, a lot of like learning to have really good trade agreements in regions. And so emotionally in Europe, mentally in the US with a little bit of this disappointment, energetically in Canada, but it's the other parts of the world, a lot of the former third world is actually coming into its most sovereign, like physical up leveling materially. So that's just what we're getting right now.
She saw Africa as the rising phoenix in a vision 5+ years ago. They may not have been the birthplace of mankind in past, but think they will be for the new golden age, leading the way for sovereignty.
And so just think about this for a minute, everybody. This isn't really, you could almost even divide this up according to the elements, right? Like, this isn't about, oh, this country gets to have flourish financially and this one is in poverty. It's about our strengths. So for example, the strengths in the US is the beliefs, the philosophy, the ideology. It's the constitutional ideology, the dream itself. What is that? How do you define that? How do you create that by definition? It's like that is what the US is working with. And then Canada is working with literally just life force. I mean, for one thing, it's not one of the easier countries to survive in. And we've had such a small number of people. So, with Canada, there's a lot of just energy, learning to apply our energy differently. And fascinating that we have a lot of energy here, like, natural gas, oil, coal, lumber, like a lot of, so just this redefining ourselves energetically. And then in Europe, it's a lot about relations and, you know, it's the old world. Well, of course, we know the old world cabal and the old world systems of dominance, but underneath that is many eons of people working together. So it's just fascinating to me. We're not, instead of thinking of it as like this country is going to be wealthy and this one isn't, think about it as we all have different strengths and we could learn from each other's strengths, if that makes sense.
Beautiful. Done and done.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mama. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here today. Powerful to end off on, and have a beautiful week, and blessings to you all.
Mm-hmm.
We will see you.
See you next